on.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am BDLM, coming with my buddy J4Y, bringing you episode number 2 of our Brocast podcast. If any of you guys get that, I love you very much. I was gonna say, I guess what I normally do. What's going on, Jay? But have a happy birthday, my friend. Episode number 50. It's a little late, but we finally made it.
Man, it makes me feel really old. Like 50? That's not a good age. In fact, isn't that technically... No, 40's over the hill. So 50's like, you are so far past the hill, you can't even see the top anymore, and it's just long gone at that point.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Well, you know what? Thanks. Thank you for the happy birthday. I guess... No, you know, the way we should look at it is, since there's two of us, we split it down the middle 25-25, and that's actually really close to my age at that point. So, you know, I think that's a better way. Let's look at it that way.
I like the way you think about that. That's really nice.
Yeah,
it's gonna be nice. I like it. We finally made it here. I guess you all can blame me for the belated episode. I think I mentioned last time, a little off topic. Got myself a nice little new job and I had to work some doubles for a little bit. It was less than fun. Unfortunately, not a lot of time for the Dota, but can finally get back on the horse, and hopefully now that I have a reasonable schedule, we can try and get this thing going a little bit more regularly. And I know that we've been talking about trying to do some other stuff too. I feel like we always are talking about trying to throw something else into the works, but it's okay. It'll actually happen all these times.
We're just country boys with those big city dreams, and one day those dreams are just gonna come alive. I don't know though, but it's not your fault entirely. I've obviously been slacking. You know, this might be a little taboo for some ears, so some people might need to cover them, but I've been playing League of Legends kind of regularly recently. I know. Fingers behind the head, if that's something. That doesn't make sense. But you know, it doesn't mean... Dota's still my favorite game, people, so don't you worry, don't you fret. It's kind of fallen out for us, but I think with his regular schedule, or when I say regular, I mean normalized work schedule, and maybe we actually can, like he said, get actually back into it as playing as well as watching. I'd love to do both. The watching I love to do usually a little more because it's like it's so much easier to watch people do well instead of do it yourself. Try to do it yourself. You're like, oh boy, this is not the same thing. But I don't know. I think it's going to be helpful to have that regularity come back. And also, I just want to say the broadcast thing. If anyone does get that, I would love them forever, because that means they've literally been around since the beginning.
Yeah. It would warm special places. Anyway.
In fact, I think those are the lost episodes, because I'm pretty sure our YouTube only goes back to like episode 5 or 6 or something.
Really?
I think there's some lost episodes that we might have to dig up and just put like a little. I'll put like a little playlist of just like called the lost episodes or something, and people can just see how it truly began. We definitely don't have the first couple. I know those are not on there. And people have no idea. If people started at those, they'd be like, oh god, these guys, why are we even here? Like, they would never come back. So maybe that's why I've waited this long to put them up there, but...
I think 50, we've earned a little bit of a right to retrospect.
Yes.
And it's definitely been a ride. Unfortunately, we had a good streak of going regularly for a while, and trying to build on that and try and get into casting and stuff. But it's really been great, I think. I've definitely enjoyed it, and I'm glad that like when we started, we didn't really know as much as we do now, certainly. And just like doing this whole thing has taught us so much about just the game, and then just getting to learn these types of games too, you know. This episode is going to be broken into 2 different parts, because there's obviously been a lot of stuff that's happened in the last month. Dota with the qualifiers with G1, Elder Titan being put into the game, as well as Slark Skywrath Mage being put into Captain's Mode. Then we also have the patch notes. And when we were looking at that earlier, it just reminded me of the one Christmas, I think it was 2 Christmases ago, when we sat and we went through some of the patch notes, and we were literally just kind of like, this is going to be cool. I can't wait to see what happens. And that's it. Like, that's all we had. And you go... You know, we just kind of hope for the best.
That was our insight. It was like...
That was it.
That sounds neat. I wonder what's going to happen.
I have to say that this time around, I think I actually have realistic, really it sounds like I know something this time. I think, and I think most of what I'm going to have to say about that is actually going to be nice and informational. That wasn't a word.
Informationally useful.
We're still awful at words.
Oh, of course. That's just a personality thing. That's when I say personality, I mean that's just grammatical, actually. To be honest,
we're so awkward and we're so bad at words. But you know, episode 100, man, we'll be there.
That was episode 5 of Very Dota Christmas, which actually is the first YouTube episode we have. So people can easily go and see what we're referencing, but I wouldn't maybe advise it necessarily. But
Stay away. Stay away.
Actually, stay far, far away from that one. But oh my God, you guys have to listen to both these episodes. This one should be pretty good, but I'm telling you, that patch one, we're gonna knock it out of the park with our opinions. I'm not gonna say they're accurate, but I'm gonna say we have opinions. That's for sure.
There are many opinions.
If you know, and that's kind of been our style in general. It's like we always seem to have some pretty strong opinions. Whether they're right or wrong is a whole different story, but we at least have some serious thoughts, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, aside from just us learning, it's been great, and I think from the beginning when we weren't even sure that Dota 2 was going to be what we wound up talking about, we kind of just went into it just realizing that, you know, we're obviously really good friends, and just coming into it and talking about a game that we love a lot will just be a good time, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed everything that's come up to episode 50. And, you know, here's to another 50 more, my friend. Let's see if we can keep the ball rolling.
Now, the only thing that we haven't fulfilled our promise on is we said we would be TI3 shoutcasters, and that's unfortunately, I think we missed the mark a little bit on that one. I don't know.
We felt... we will... I'll be shouting.
You know, if we could turn the stream on if you guys want, and we could just shout into it, and, you know, it'll be like the same thing.
We'll, like, watch the International 3 with you, and it'll be like we're all there instead of in our houses. It'll be great. It'll be great. But I think it'll be good, and I hope that this year we can get some stuff online, get some plans in the works, and make something good. And I hope you guys keep watching, and, you know, as always, we truly, truly, truly appreciate your support. Also, last thing about the old... shout out to Mr. Day9, Mr. Sean Plott. He was never going to hear this or anything. But that man, StarCraft 2, you go check him out. Whether or not you like StarCraft 2 or us, hate both, go watch Day9's stuff. Because that man is certainly, I think, responsible for a lot of these types of ventures into looking at video games closely and just having fun with wanting to be good at them. And so, thank that man for everything he's done.
Yeah, that guy is truly, he still is a genius. I mean, it's just the way he's gotten into fucking Whoa, God, the language. Oh, sorry. That's 50. You know, but with age comes a little more, you know, we just kind of get more blunt and to the
Things
point.
Slip out. And
But he really, he got into Forbes magazine. So, has to be doing something right, to be honest. Just throwing it out there. But he's a hilarious guy with a lot of great insight. And, I mean, he was a pro before he did it, which I guess helps with his viewpoints and everything. But, you know, he was dedicated to, which a lot of people, some people on this podcast may have a couple issues with. But, you know, its regularity is really what helps keep things going. So, you know, and for him I believe he's done it. What was it? Literally like every day for 5 days a week or something? How much was he doing that?
There, up until episode 200 and something, I don't think he ever missed a day.
Jeez Louise, that is.
I think he was doing 5 days a week. And he was on. I think he was late once or twice or something.
Huh.
But
while he was in school and everything. So.
Yep,
you know.
when he was in school and being more successful than us, you know.
Whoa, let's not push things here. Let's not push things. You know, success is in the eye of the beholder, in my opinion.
That's true.
He has made way less pizzas than you'll never make as many pizzas as you've made. Let's put it that way.
That is true. He will never reach my my legend. Anyway, back to Dota. Let's get this thing kicked off. So obviously we had the qualifiers go on. Spoiler alerts. Something I learned from doing this little thing that you actually have to tell people when spoiler alerts are coming. The Western qualifier winners, Mousesports. Eastern qualifier winners, LGD China winning like crazy. They just swept up pretty much. Wound up beating Rattlesnakes with some just really strong play overall. You know, they had that roster switch up, picking up Long DD, I believe. And coming out of retirement, he wasn't retired for very long, but just came out and really just looked like he had been a part of that roster forever. You know, like he never missed a step. He just came right back into it swinging, did really well.
Yeah, I mean, I know they've been doing a lot of boot camping and whatnot, and you know, some people go out to say on a limb, and it's actually probably true, that the Chinese teams are a lot more hardcore with their preparation for tournaments and for things like that. Like they have their gaming houses, and actually the American scene is actually finally, I'd say within the past year or so, started finally, and not only American, probably European as well, started really picking up on that whole gaming house like that, or like seeing how much it really helps these people out. I mean, you know, when you're with your teammates all the time in person, almost pretty much, it's also kind of similar to a LAN experience where you're together physically. That really makes such a huge difference compared to online versus offline events. So, you know, I think that really helps them out be more united and bonded together as well.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's really great to have that, because that's the other thing. You figure so much of maybe what you might just be thinking about it as you're like going out to get something to eat. You know, hey, what do you think about this? And just being able to actually be around people more often and just have those whenever you just have like a moment spark of an idea, be able to bounce it off somebody, I think is just really helpful in and of itself. I think it's really cool too that LGD, I mean, they should feel pretty good that they got taken out of the main event because of their roster change, and they had a statement that came out. They're like, you know, we thought this might be a thing, but we thought our chances would be better if we changed our roster up. And what do you know? They are able to come through the qualifiers, and so that's got to be a really nice momentum boost for them, and you know, make them feel good about going into the main event.
Yeah, obviously it kind of reaffirms their decision in picking up the player change. So yeah, I mean, it really is great. And I mean, they performed so well last year, almost coming out on top. You know, they were the only team, I believe, to be undefeated in the group stage last year. So you know, obviously a lot of talent coming out from their team. So, you know, it's great to see a competitive team like that. Not saying that, like, Rattlesnake or something was not competitive, but, you know these guys are going straight for the prize, and, you know, they're not going to let much slow them down. And how epic could it be to see LGD versus LGD China, you know, especially for the fact that they're in the same gaming house, pretty much back-to-back, I believe, in the same floor. So to have them competing in the big stage would be just something else.
Yeah, it's going to be really neat to see. I mean, they were in I want to say the GC, this is where I test my memory. It's just the G season, the G League? G League.
Yes.
When they were against one another. And it was like the first time that there was going to be like a threat for an international team to be able to sort of, you know, to win it. But, you know, and you look at how the G1 actually wound up working out, and LGD Gaming there went 4-1 in the group stages as well. So finished off very strong, wound up going up against Alliance in the grand finals. So obviously that team doing quite well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing them continue to play.
As well as all these teams. I mean, let's just we'll go over a quick little list right now. So the teams that are in, it's IG, of course, Orange, Neolution, the Alliance. Alliance, Fnatic, Team Liquid, Na'Vi, Team Zenith, Dignitas, Virtus.pro, or VP if you're cool enough, given those two letters, DK, LGD, and China, Invasion, MUFC, Tongfu, and then Mouse Sports. So, and then the wild card winner would be between DD, Dota, and Rattlesnake. Now, last year in the International, that is how Mouse Sports snuck in. They did have to end up. I can't remember offhand the team that had to drop out due to, I guess, passport issues or something. But one team could not come, and they did play that wild card game, which allowed I believe it was Mouse Sports to get in. Was it not, or was it MTW? Oh boy, here we go. Episode 50. Still keeping it consistent with the lack of knowledge on everything, but you know it started with an M. I know that for a fact. That is exactly
that M team.
Well, I'm Googling it, so if you have any thoughts coming in here.
I do think it's great that Cinderin will be at the International again.
Oh, yes.
International 3, being on Mouse Sports. So, we didn't really talk much about what they were able to do to win the Western qualifier, but they were able to get themselves in, so it's going to be great to see them play. They're a team that I actually really liked a lot. I think what's been interesting for me in Dota lately, and I kind of been mentioning it the last couple episodes, how I feel like there's of course this top tier of heroes, but teams seem to be a lot more comfortable going with their own sets of heroes, their own sets of strategies. And Mouse Sports, I think, is one of the big teams that I thought about employing that strategy, because they were the ones that really valued Alchemist really highly, playing him support or playing him as a carry, and just no other team was really messing with it as much as they were. But that was something that they regularly employed as a part of their strategy, and that's something that I actually really enjoyed watching in the G1 and as well as the Asian qualifiers. Just the number of heroes that you sort of, I guess, not forgot about, but they were just like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I feel like I haven't gotten to see this hero in forever, and now I actually get to see them back in the front end of play, and the game really is, I think, starting to get back to that, teams being able to come up with really specific individual strategies with heroes to work for them.
Yeah, I mean, to relate it back, and there's probably going to be a lot of this relating it back to how TI2 went down, but TI2 was like all about flavor of the month, like from basically the patch that hit before it, where Naga Siren and combos with her plus Morphling were just so flavor of the month that just it seemed to be everywhere. But it's just like you said, a huge difference. Now, granted, we haven't gotten to TI3 yet. There's still actually a few months to go, and anything can happen in a few months, as we know from the meta. So we could end up back in. I mean, I hate to say it, but it could be back to a Morphling thing. But given the circumstances and how we've seen teams play and adapt, plus the other changes which are coming down the pipe, which we'll get into in our other episode, I really highly doubt that it's going to just become this very narrowed selection of heroes anymore, especially with also the number of heroes in the pool these days. There's over 100. I mean, there's so many choices, and they're all so very well balanced these days that it's hard to say, oh no, we absolutely have to ban these certain heroes every game. That's just not true anymore.
Yeah, I mean, just some other examples too. I mean, when I think about Alliance, I think about PA and how they've really made that hero shine. Slark has actually been a pretty nice tool in the arsenal of Team Liquid, and he actually has a really high win rate. There are not a lot of nice instances of teams that go these really unique strategies for them, and it winds up working out really well. I think that's pretty much what I had to say as far as Moses goes. I guess the only other thing is just to point out some of the other heroes I think really made a big splash, especially in the G1. Visage, I believe, in one of the final games, they were able, Beyond the Summit, post a stat that Visage is 17-6 going into the finals. If I remember correctly, he was on the winning team in every single one of the finals games, to only push that further. Kunkka showing himself again randomly, not just with that Shadow Demon combo, but just being picked up in the lineup. And then, of course, Lone Druid, I think, is one of the really interesting heroes to talk about, especially if we're going to look to compare, the sort of East versus West, because that's, I guess, something else we could do too, because there was something that I wanted to mention. There was an article, actually, that Sun Tzu of Join Dota posted about how Alliance, spoiler alert, were able to win G1 completely undefeated in the group stages and rolled LGD in the finals. Convincing. I believe the last game was around 30 minutes. Might have been under that. But the commentators kept pointing out how it seemed like a lot of these heroes, like Lone Druid, like Wisp, that are so core in Western play, were sort of not quite figured out. There were a lot of Wisp accidentally TPs himself in by himself, and the carry has to run from somewhere across the map, I think it's going to be really interesting to see if each region sort of plays their own styles, how these styles are going to work out, or if, as Sun Tzu mentioned, back at the last International, a lot of Western teams and even the Asian teams that had their own specific strategy tried to out-Chinese the Chinese teams.
And that's, see, I think these teams need to really play to their strengths. I mean, yeah, we definitely. I remember seeing some games where they tried to exactly like outmatch them, like mechanically, like try to outlast hit, play it to the role. And these teams, it's what they practice. It's their bread and butter. It's really what their goals were to do. And so when that's not your familiar strategy, like for example, EG last year, when they tried to do strategy, that's not their. They're normally just an aggressive, good ganking team, and they like to put the pressure on. And when they tried to just sit there and farm with someone, it just was not going to work out for them late game. They weren't going to mechanically, they weren't up to speed as these Chinese teams were, and they just weren't prepared with that strategy in mind. So I definitely think these teams absolutely have to play to their strengths, whatever that may be for them.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. That's something I think more interested in seeing. I mean, if we want to keep going back to the international too, when we watched Complexity at the time, and we saw the support Marana,
Ugh.
and we were like, this is unfortunate. Mostly because it didn't work. If that had worked, we'd have been like, support Marana, best NA, rah, let's go Complexity. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I think when we go back and we think about that, you're like, hey, would you rather them pick up support Marana, or would you rather see them pick up more Flame Run? Just take the Marana, just grab the Marana, just take the Marana. So I think that's going to be a much better, just show about how these two scenes have sort of developed. And that's another thing too. You look at how just dominant Visage was in these Asian tournaments. You would expect him to be a major part of the Western scene too, but really not so much.
So he's mainly just sitting up here in the eastern side. Western side, I mean, and this is where I told you for the cast I'm going to have some questions for you, because obviously you are much more knowledgeable of this kind of topic. So is it then... okay, starting from the beginning. Visage, generally known as God of the Tri-Lane. That's kind of been what his name... His title was, starting out at least, when he was put into the game with Fluff and stuff and whatnot, running that. So
this is the one quote that I can actually attribute to the person who said it. I believe it was actually Gods that called him a God of the Tri-Lane.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you actually know who said it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know this one. Oh, yes.
References at the end of the episode. So basically, since that was what his familiar thing was, is he still being used primarily in tri-lane strategies, or now is he more of this roaming kind of ganking hero?
It's definitely still the tri-lane, but what I thought was really interesting is there was one game where he was run as the core of the tri-lane. Run with the Shaker, and I want to say the third was Kodal? It was somebody with a crazy long range. And they would just do some burst damage, you would soul assumption, and then you'd laugh because you got the kill. And then you'd go back to farming the tri-lane until everybody else got back.
It was Jakiro.
Oh, it was Jakiro.
Yeah.
Was Jakiro. Thank you. So even better. I like that better than the Kodal anyway. I felt like that was weird. I mean, just showing you how powerful that the hero can be, he doesn't even have to be the support. I mean, picking up the gold, obviously you can grab an Aghanim Scepter, you can grab the Medallion of Courage. He's one of these supports where if you can get items on him, he's even better. And he has this ability to make his presence known across the map like few other supports can do. I guess you could say probably Treant Protector, probably the biggest for being able to... Crystal Maiden. But you know what I mean. He can actually split push as a support hero, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, only a few probably can do that very successfully. And now I've got this image in my mind, so I'm going to have to share it. The tri-lane involving Jakiro and Earthshaker, if you throw instead of him, put in Timbersaw, I'm just thinking of the most brutal obstacle course for enemy heroes to pass through. And you got that fissure, the ice path, and then like a chakram or something that's sitting in the middle of it. Like, that would just be brutal, just to have to like dodge and weave your way through it. That's all. I don't know why that image popped in my head, but it was like when we were kids growing up, like the Double Dare like obstacle courses, like get through the end and you could get yourself a lollipop. I don't know what they got for prizes. That was bad, but
American Gladiator. That's my favorite.
There it is. That makes a lot more sense actually. That's probably a better reference than what I'm saying. But anyways, yeah, I actually really do like him with farm too. I've actually tried it in pubs. Now, granted, Neon Visage is not nearly as pretty as other people, just for the fact that he is so micro-intensive. You have to be on point with those. If you can use his ultimate, the familiars, and use them in even other lanes for ganking potentially, doing just so many. They have so many great uses throughout the game, and not getting them killed is the other huge deal. The bounty being so high that you cannot just throw them away willy-nilly, and the long cooldown. So you just really have to play him extremely well to not give the other team an advantage.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I found crazy interesting, and this is actually going to play into our section about the patch notes 6.78, was just the difference in how Lone Druid was handled. Sylar from LGD putting on a Lone Druid clinic across the G1 series, played him solo mid, played him as the solo bottom, and was able to finagle his way out of some really sticky situations. A fantastic job. And again, because Beyond the Summit, they're doing a fantastic job with their production value. Had those nice little stats pop up in the middle of the game. Average completion time for Armlet in the Western scene, or maybe it was just in general, 17 minutes. Sylar was getting them consistently at the 8 to 9 minute mark. Half the time. He's able to put together Armlet with other items on top of it. It wasn't an Armlet rush, if I remember correctly.
Achievement Rice King.
Yeah. And so that's another thing, too, where you're even taking this one hero that... he's pretty straightforward, really, he's got plenty of, I guess, quote-unquote moves, but it's not complicated, right? It's pretty straightforward.
Right.
And you're able to get this dramatic difference just between regions. So I'm really curious to see, coming into the International 3, especially with those two heroes, with Wisp and with Lone Druid, how each region's able to play him and which region's able to make the best use of him.
Yeah, and that's definitely... there's been some people who've already read 6.78 that say, what about the changes, guys? We'll get into them, alright? Keep your pants on, alright, everyone? Well, pants are optional here. That's always been the rule, but,
No pant party.
Hold your horses, how about that? Also, this is kind of a little off topic, but you mentioned the little stats popping up. Did you see, I think it was the latest patch, not 6.7.8, but the other one, where now in spectator mode, big item purchases now pop up on the screen.
Yeah, I really like that. It's great. That's another thing that if we wanted to go back to talking about just how we've gotten into this whole thing of just doing this podcast, and one of the reasons we chose to finally settle on Dota 2 is because we just loved how interactive Valve was with the community. And episode Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, episode 4, 6, it's early. Someone from Valve sent us an email and was like, hey, we came across your thing. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, thanks. They're just such a great company to actually go back and forth, and obviously because of how cosmetics are done, engaging the community, and that's just fantastic, and definitely why I plan on following Dota 2 forever.
We were two giddy schoolgirls that night when I got that email. I first thought it was a spam email. I'm like, what? Oh, come on, this is ridiculous. But I was like, wait a second, this is way too detailed and oriented towards what we just did to be spam. So I was like, oh, and then we emailed it back. Of course, never got a response. But that's fine. Just the fact that they acknowledged us, that's what really ignited the drive, the passion, the glory. And that was one of the episodes where we were in your uncle's house with the dog. The dog. We bring it back good times there. We shared one mic between the two of us in the room. You guys don't understand behind the scenes at Dota on Demand. We've done some interesting setups along the way. So
it's been good. But I guess now I'm done. I thought I was done earlier, but then I just remembered all that stuff. But now I think I'm done with G1 and the qualifiers, etc.
The Lone Druid, he has just blown me away. He's kind of, to me, felt almost like a Morphling from last year that says that he's been kind of flavor of the month, especially after the Armlet discovery. And, people just love him in general, dominating. And he really does do... For players that have amazing micro control, he really excels. Please don't point at yourself.
No.
Don't worry, I'm not even pretending like a finger could be pointed at myself for that one. But for players that do, He just obviously accelerates that much more for them. So, like you said, like Sylar, for example, just all those players are so good with it. Yeah, you're going to get dominated from it if you allow him to pick it up. It's just plain simple.
Yeah. So, let's talk about this crazy kid Elder Titan. Or maybe if you don't want to do that, we will say that patch, some heroes got added to Captain's Mode. Among them, Skywrath Mage and Slark. I'm just going to drop some numbers on you, thanks to Dota Academy. Slark has an 82% win rate.
Whoo!
Picked and banned a total of 15 times. Skywrath Mage, picked and banned a grand total of 30 times with a 57% win rate. Both of these, pretty high. Obviously, Slark that's a little bit out of control for a win rate.
That's absurd. I cannot believe it's that high. That's a lot. That's not even like 2 games. It's like 15. That's ridiculous. That's a lot of games. Now, granted, I'm sure it was probably the same couple teams that are running him every time that had maybe a strategy in mind or something. Does it go into detail about that at all?
I'll see what I can do. I'm pretty sure that whenever Team Liquid picked him up, he was solo mid. It's mostly Absolute Legends, Team Liquid. We have a couple pickups by Mouse Sports. And I believe all of the match lengths are relatively short. Actually, they're pretty across the board. They're pretty... They go around. But yeah, we play Dota 2, the International West qualifiers, some of the bigger... or larger. That's where he was seen the most.
See, that's got to be confidence right there. Using him in a qualifier game, I mean, you've got to really be sure about your strategies at that point because people are not messing around with those games. There's another statistic I want you to find in a second, but before I get you there, the Skywrath Mage, I'm almost positive of those 56% wins, at least 50%, if that makes any sense in this statistic, are from Dendi playing in mid. I'm almost certain. Or at least like the 3 times I've seen him played, it was Dendi mid, he won. He crushed. Let me put it a different way. He crushed his lane with that.
I do see Dendi 8-1-7. It was a loss though. Dendi 5-3-6 win. 11-2-10 win.
Jesus.
21-5-11 win.
Oh my god.
3-0-6 win.
Yeah, pretty brutal with that here. I mean that guy is so hard. You know, I remember springing that question on you about Hour 1 Destroyer. Like, who could possibly be Hour 1 Destroyer mid? Who the hell can beat Skywrath Mage mid? Might be more of a better suited question. That guy is just a beast in the lane. That is for certain. But
yeah,
that's
he's
a whole
definitely strong,
yeah.
and I'm glad we've seen him in both roles too, because obviously that's something that one of the times where maybe we're right, one of those magical times, because we obviously when we talked about Skywrath Mage, we made a big point of how he can fulfill both these roles, be strong at both of them. So he's not going to be one of these picks where you're just like, oh yeah, Skywrath Mage is going to be sport.
Yeah, no, he's played both. Maybe our conversation did apply pretty directly, which, like you said, does not always happen. So, shout out to that. Oh, by the way, did you use the restroom before this episode?
I mean,
I hope you have a bottle on hand or something.
At some point before, yes.
At some point in the past day, I have used the restroom. So
this is my coffee, though. So, cheers.
Cheers. Well, I'll definitely make sure you go in between our 2 episodes. That's going to be a fact here. The other statistic, though, I was curious about, which now I'm going to keep talking until I remember what it was. Alchemist. What's his recent gig? Because he's been picked up a lot recently.
It's still pretty across the board, I think. I want to say mostly that sort of carry role from the games that I've seen. But it's been pretty storied. His win rate right now, as of May, is .42, but it spiked as high as 64% win rate as early as February. So, I mean, he's definitely been able to play several different roles, and there have been the different builds. Some that don't go for Grievel's Greed at all. Some of them that do like to pick it up to try and get that early farm advantage. And it's just really nice. I mean, he's a great answer to, I think, several scenarios. And it's really great to see him because he's one of those heroes I think people like to make fun of because of seeing him in pub games or whatever. But then when you realize that maybe competitive players just didn't feel like the situation where he was needed had arisen yet, and you finally do see him, you're like, oh yeah, it's actually pretty smart. I will like to say that I remember a particular point in time where I mentioned that Blink Dagger on Alchemist was something I was interested in, and lo and behold, people are building Shadow Blades left and right to initiate.
Which is not a Blink Dagger.
I mean, it's close. It's close.
It's not
It's almost identical. Almost exactly the same. So close.
Okay. At one point I was mentioning that, that techies was going to be competitive, and people are starting to pick up, Morphling, so, it's like the same thing. They're both heroes, so it's essentially the same thing. According to your logic, I could understand that completely. It's done deal.
It's good. It's good.
Oh, I probably mentioned it an episode or two ago, but I just have to say I've seen a lot more E-Blades recently in play, and it might have something to do. Is it new? A question that we probably don't know the answer to. Is it new that you could use that on allies as well?
It wasn't originally like that.
I figured
I can
that.
tell you that much. It's a couple patches old.
Okay.
But I don't think it's like immediately new.
I wonder if that had anything to do with maybe its more popularity to have that ability to also use it on allies in addition, but probably not as much. But I don't know. I've definitely seen a few. Maybe it's obviously never going to be like your top priority item because it's just not worth that. But I don't know. It's starting to be on the rise, especially with some of these newer heroes that love to stack a certain statistic. Skywrath, just for example, that definitely has good reason to come out and play. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's a highly situational item, but of course those situations are bound to arise. But let's get into Elder Titan. What do you think?
Yeah, I just want to also say I've realized the currency for this G1 tournament. I have to make fun of myself here because I thought that symbol was yen. That means I'm really ignorant. And I probably am. This is why I probably need to study more. I need to take like an Eastern Asian culture class or something in general. But apparently not. It's RMB, which stands for renminbi, which probably actually is pronounced a completely different way. So once again, ignorant Jay to the rescue. But there was apparently the statistic was it boasted a Chinese record-breaking prize pool of over 400,000 RMB. So I mean that's pretty sweet to see that these Dota tournaments are setting records with these prizes, which, did we talk about that? The Dota 2, or the International 3 prize pool being a record?
I don't know. Go ahead and say it.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, so, essentially, because people are allowed to contribute towards the grand prize pool if they make the purchase of... This is where you have to help me out, because you've actually bought it. What is it officially called?
Compendium?
The Compendium. So if you purchase the Compendium, a portion of it does go towards the grand prize, and people have been just going nuts with those. I mean, and I believe what they've been doing, which is really smart, is giving incentives along the way, some goals. So the more people that buy it, they unlock these goals, which will give you like in-game couriers or things like that, and it's just taken off. I believe it's over 2. I should have Googled this. It's like 2.4. There's so many things Google could have. I wish Google would just pick up on my voice and be like have it ready to go. What cool technology would that be if it?
It's called Google Glass, and
it exists. Is that what you're saying?
It's coming.
Oh, it's not out yet. I thought that sounds like a thing. Oh, okay. Oh, it's right on their front page. The current prize pool is $2,225,305, and apparently of the $10 you pay, $250 of it is added towards the pool. So there you go. Pretty neat.
Yeah, so go ahead and buy those if you guys haven't, because obviously that's pretty huge when you have these.
Oh my God. Goal 7. All right, let me get there first. But I gotta jump right to it. Goal 7. If it reaches 3.2 million, which, okay, reaching a little high for the sky apple pie dream thing. If they do, Compendium owners will be able to select the next hero shipped in Dota 2. Oh my God.
The only problem with that is,
awesome.
Everyone would pick
Techies is coming to town, baby!
Just to troll themselves.
That's so awesome, though. I mean, that's not going to happen. There's no way. But I mean, we got a few months. We could, it's just a million
Got
off.
time.
I mean,
Got nothing
a
but time.
million, and it's since 2.5 goes towards it. Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, I'm not even gonna do that math. Let's just say a lot of people. Like, I haven't even bought it yet, but I don't have that kind of money.
I have.
I can't do that.
I
It's a
have.
commitment.
Yeah, go ahead and buy those because obviously it's big and I think it's important with like anything really. I mean, if you like it and you want to support it, go all the way with it. And being able to set records is obviously a big part of it. But all right, Elder Titan.
All right, we can get there. All right.
We can do this thing. Elder Titan, the wordsmith. He's a lyrical worldsmith. Sorry. Uh, what do you think about this hero in general, my friend? Do you have any thoughts?
I have some initials, not tons, mind you, but I do have some, and it mostly revolves around Earth Splitter, his ultimate, of how neat that move is and how potentially devastating for team fights it could be. Now, I want to say this hero pretty much relies a lot on preparation for a lot of his stuff. It's kind of like getting everything aligned in like a solar eclipse or something, and just getting that perfect like wombo combo for himself. Like, he doesn't even really. I mean, it's great to do with other people on your team, but if he can get himself set up properly, he is just a brutal hero and really great in the lane phase too. It's not like he's got a weak point in the game. I feel like he really can do some nice damage. I guess the only issue he may struggle with, at least early on, is that mana pool and how expensive his spells are.
Yeah, I mean, he has his stats are actually pretty okay. I mean, he starts with the 300 mana, 606 health. Not too bad. He has a pretty. I mean, the starting int and the starting strength are okay. The gains are pretty crappy, but that I think is only just to show you how strong his abilities are, because they are pretty good. It's something that wasn't really a good representation of what Elder Titan could do. But in the G1 All-Stars match, he was actually on the Western team. Western team may have arrived to their lanes a minute late. They may have teleported to their towers using Scroll's TP, so they could be still like a creep wave behind. So maybe they weren't trying too hard. They lost, believe it or not. It matters if you're at the lane in time. But there were definitely, I think, a couple moments where you sort of go like, if this was orchestrated at all, Elder Titan could be really helping his team a lot. He wound up, I think, being mostly solo against an Invoker, and not that Invoker is really that strong of a solo anymore. Held his own. I mean, the one thing that I really do like about Elder Titan is he's almost independent from his items. And when this hero came out and we got to mess with him, and I started thinking about the cast we were going to have, I wasn't even really going to say anything for items, because you can pretty much do whatever you want. I think you need arcane boots, and after that, I mean, it's the generic kind of thing. You could look to go for, a refresher if the ult was really important, or the drums if you wanted to. You could go for the Urn of Shadows if you really wanted to. I mean, I really don't think there's anything you're really stuck or trapped into, because the hero himself is so versatile and his spell set is so strong that you really can just completely build for the situation.
Yeah, I mean, you say arcane boots are pretty much a core, yet Valve disagrees. They think power treads are his core on it, and obviously that's to go, I guess, hand in hand with the bonus damage you gain from Astral Spirit once it returns. But yeah, that's I think kind of plays into why you don't need the items. Is first of all, Astral Spirit, when it hits people, you gain the bonus damage and move speed, so you get really fast, hit pretty hard. So you don't really need like damage items. Obviously, he has an aura which just reduces armor by a ton, as well as increases magic damage taken. So you don't have to worry about that aspect. I mean, he's gonna do a ton of damage. Has a good CC. He's got everything built into his kit. So yeah, you're right. It's more about maybe team fighting items instead, like a hood even, or a mech, or God knows. I mean, he could probably get whatever his team really just needs him to have at that point, and that's really just where one of his strengths really lies in. Now, you say he played mid against Invoker. Do you think, honestly,
He wasn't mid, he was off lane.
Oh, he was off lane.
But,
so what do you think his general position would be in a game?
I mean, he certainly can run the solo fine. I think maybe as a support, he's kind of. It's almost like the Bane thing, where you can sort of, if you can get the spirit to Echo Stomp. I mean, we haven't really gone over the abilities yet, but you have the potential to set up a kill for your teammates. So I could see him functioning as Ryland. I can see him functioning as a solo mid just to get the levels up, so that you can get the Earth Splitter and get some farm. Again, I think he's a super versatile hero, which is why I expect that we'll probably see him once he enters the Dota 2 Captains mode. Um, so, I mean, if we want to run through the abilities really quick, Echo Stomp, AoE has a knockout component to it, so that you're essentially crowd controlled, but if any damage you take will break the CC, that goes up to 5 seconds at the last rank. Astral Spirit, Cradle Spirit Dude that you can control, he does damage based on the units he runs through. After a certain amount of time, he returns to you, giving you movement speed and damage. You can also manually call this back. The Aura, Natural Order, like you were talking about, for armor reduction and magic damage, amplification, and Earth Splitter, a super long-range AoE, sky-melting, apocalypse explosion.
In a line.
In a line, 2,400 distance. It takes some time to
It's
get
like
off.
a big-ass fissure. Kind
It
of.
is. It is. And that's one of the things I actually really do like about him, because, you know, we were talking about the International 2 before, and everything was really about what you could do with a radius this big. You know, what we can line up as many area of effect indicators as we can on a team, and then if we can line up the most, then we win. This ultimate, it's of course about AoE, but because of the distance it's over, you really don't need the fight to be all that concentrated for you to hit multiple people with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's something else, and it hits for 35% of targets max health. So God, just tons of damage. Scales throughout the game, obviously, which is always nice because not many abilities actually do scale like that, except for maybe Huskar. Oh, hey-oh. Which, well, most competitive hero number one,
Later.
perhaps. Yeah, later though. But a couple things I want to just briefly also add to this. His cooldowns are pretty long: 15-second Echo Stomp, 16-second Astral Spirit. So not very. So while his mana costs are kind of expensive at like 100 and 110 each, they're long cooldowns. So it's not like you're burning through your mana left and right. His ultimate, 100-second cooldown, not bad considering the devastation it does do. And then the other thing I want to say is his Astral Spirit also has the natural aura around it.
And
So-
if you Echo Stomp, it does it too. So
Correct.
it can chase somebody down and then while you're channeling the Echo Stomp, which is really cool. I will say that when this hero was released, single most frustrating thing to have on the other team when no one you're playing with knows what's going on. Because you tell them, hey, you see a little ghost guy appear, you GTFO, you just hightail it, something bad's happening. Of course, what you get is, what's this? Oh, I can't, I'm dead. Thank you. I just...
Just run next time.
Sorry.
Uh,
That was my venting.
No, there should be plenty of it. I don't know. I would love to see him. Apparently, in this Gods, I remember him talking about way before about how he was one of the few heroes he felt that once he comes into play, he's going to be competitively picked, competitively viable, just because of his kit and everything. So, yeah, I definitely would agree with him and you on that statement. But it might be a while. I wouldn't say too long, because obviously he's able to be. He's already used in Dota 1. He's in Captain's Mode in Dota 1, so it shouldn't take too long. But I don't know that he will get put in before TI 3, because that would definitely
I
shift
doubt
a
it.
lot of strategies around.
I want to say heroes last year were getting cut off in, I think, June or July.
Hmm.
That was, I think, that when they... But I think... now I'm actually really curious if they added any heroes to Captain's Mode between the qualifiers and the main event.
I doubt it. Yeah, because
I
I
don't think
think
they did.
it would have been everything before the qualifiers. I feel like qualifiers is like kind of the start of the process, and they're gonna just wait. Now that is unfortunate since there are a few months and players. I mean, the thing with pub players, obviously we can still play them, so it's not like affecting the game too much, just competitively. And I think competitive players will be happy that they don't have to worry about the inclusion of some of these heroes and now have to practice them in their strategies because they have to be able to play with the best, you know. So, yeah, I would highly doubt we'd see anything like him just jump in the game. But once he's in, man, I definitely don't see him really being not a threat, to be honest.
Yeah. This sort of reminds me of another hero that I wanted to talk about. And let me see if I can very impromptu get us into a little discussion, if you don't mind.
No.
Drow Ranger actually getting picked up, which is kind of interesting, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times through the month of May. Actually goes 4 and 3, so ends up winning quite a bit. And in the games I saw, actually, 1 point in Frost Arrow, max everything else. You get the aura, you get stats to boost your agility and to power up that the aura. Was pretty crazy to see, and definitely not something that I expected. I sort of figured a few more points would be getting put into Frost Arrow. I want to say there was a game where it was skipped completely and there wasn't even 1 point put in it.
Yeah, obviously at that point you're really just doing it for the orb blocking aspect, and there's no other reason you would do it at that point. And a very popular, I mean, I guess I haven't watched those 7 games, but I figured what used to be pretty popular would go right for like a Helmet Dominator or something, get that lifesteal passive, and only use Frosters when you absolutely need to slow someone down, but otherwise keep the lifesteal, because she hits so hard that you lifesteal a ton back. So, you know, that's been the most popular orb. So leveling a Froster is essentially, it's almost like the Flaming Spears on Huskar, where it's like, do I really need to level this? Late game, I'm not going to be using it really, so not worth putting the points. I'd rather have the stats for all-around tankiness and damage instead.
Yeah, you really want to talk about Huskar.
I don't know why. He just seems to keep coming back in. We will. Hey, remember, later.
Later.
That's interesting. 7 games, actually. That's pretty cool. I figured it would just be JMZ. It would be or JMZ. What's TM?
CSMJ?
The letter guy. Let me get to that culture class right after this episode. I figured he would be the only one picking him up, but I guess other players are comfortable with him. I mean, he is a very rice-heavy hero, so I'm sure people are quite comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's really the only thing that, just in passing, I thought was really interesting and not something that I expected to come up, but it's been a thing. I'm curious to see how Drow Ranger looks to play in other tournaments. I mean, EG actually, I think, wound up picking her up 3 of the 7 times. So Rattlesnake 2 of the 7. So maybe only a couple teams really looking to mess around with it, but definitely interesting to see her played that way. It's just sort of for the aura and for that high damage.
Yeah, and when we did talk about her before, was she ever? Do you know she was run with a Nature's Prophet on her team?
I want to say yes.
Yeah, we said that was one of the things we thought would really synergize super well with that global aura. So, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Hey, another thing we might have called right. I don't know. It does happen. And speaking of now heroes, can we just get a little mini talk about how Bristle's in there and hasn't really been picked much, which angers me to no end?
I would like to see him.
There's still tri-lanes, right?
No.
That's still part of the meta, right? He's a tri-lane guy!
Well, he's undefeated, if it makes you feel any better.
That does make me feel better. A lot better.
According to Dota Academy, he was picked up once.
Yes.
So
Someone had to do it.
it's
that's a double-edged sword. I feel like he's a tri-lane hero because your Quill Spray stacking to everyone is so awesome damage, but he does also give 1,000,000 magic stick charges to everyone in a tri-lane, so it is a double-edged sword. I can see both sides of that story, but I just feel like he's got kind of like a taunt button on him. Like, people just want to see him dead, and yeah, maybe pro players are a little smarter than pub players. I'm not sure, but just a tad. But I feel like still, if you don't kill him quickly, though, those quills are going to just do massive amounts of damage. I believe the max is 400, the cap. So you can start hitting for 400 if he's alive that long in a fight. So definitely something to be threatened with. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't bring enough. I mean, obviously his CC is pretty lackluster. He's just got a slow on one person, more or less. Or a stacking slow. So
or
not great.
He's every team's pocket strat, and he's going to be the new Morphling.
Oh dear God, that would be horrible.
I'd be okay with that, actually.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm okay with it.
At least Morphling got like E-Blade stuff. He'd be kind of nukey and cool. Like Bristle just does one thing. He just Spams.
Spill spam.
Why is it so hard for me to say? Spams quills all day. Did you see the video of showing the bristleback who got refresh orb?
No. Sounds like something I need to watch though.
It's exactly what you imagined. He literally just used his snot and his spray and then refreshed and did it right again. It was like, what? What just happened?
It's good. I like it.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about him. Obviously, he doesn't have a lot to talk about. Maybe he will be that pocket strat. We don't know. He is in the captain's mode, so the potential is there. It is there.
That's true. I think I'm clicking through my tabs here of stuff on the side that I can reference during this thing, and I keep looking over at these patch notes.
Right, they are calling us. I know they are.
Just whispering sweet nothings, and trying to drag our ship onto the rocks. Jay, I think we have to listen. I think we have to answer the siren song.
Yes. That's fine with me. So I guess this is 50. Right now, I'm calling it 50A. That's terrible. There's got to be a better name. Maybe I'll be witty enough by the time I post these to come up with something. But knowing my lack of wit, it may not happen. But any final words on this part?
The fact that this is a 2-part episode reminds me to give a huge shout out to Adam Stadler, our internet wizard, who is able to piece together the 2 parts of the episode with a nice little interlude, which, like, I think made the episode even better. He did a fantastic job with it. I want to thank him for that. I don't think there's going to be any little interlude this time. Because it's going to be just 2 separate things.
They're separate this time. But the people who just listen, just do us a favor. Go to our YouTube and just watch the interlude. Was it 52 minutes or something around there? Just go try to find it and just watch it, because it honestly is. It's gold.
It was good.
It really is.
It was good. But alright guys, we will be right back very shortly. We're going to refill our coffee cups. We're not going to pee, so that we can have a race against the clock. But we will be right back talking about the patch notes 6.78, hit Dota 1, and soon coming to Dota 2. We will talk to you guys soon.